Hi, I'm Thea and welcome to my channel. So I took a little break last week again. It was not planned. I did have a video planned for last week, but it just didn't happen. I was a little stressed out / in recovery mode. Our younger dog Yuki had a seizure and it took me a little while. She's totally fine, and she was totally fine by the time we made it to the emergency vet. John and I were just really wound up because it was a scary experience. I felt like I needed to monitor very closely for a few days just to make sure she was fine. So I basically just glued my buns to my sewing machine over there and had a little sewing rampage. I made 3 dresses and a blouse, and I thought it would be fun to share the vintage patterns that I used to make them. All right, so first up is a pattern by McCall's. It's Easy Stitch and Save by McCall's, pattern 8878. I wanted a dress like this for gardening, to be out in the garden. I like to wear dresses during the day, especially when I'm at home, because I have a large hip and a smaller waist, so I have the problem with the gap in the back of the pant. I know there are brands that make pants that help you out with that, but that's expensive and I'm not a rich lady, so dress as it is. I wanted a durable dress to wear out gardening, and I ended up getting lucky and I bought a bolt of lightweight denim fabric at the thrift store for really cheap. I think I got the whole bolt for like $7. It had the manufacturer seal still on it. There was some staining on it, but it was totally fine. So I whipped up this dress, and it was significantly bigger than I thought it was gonna be. So I decided to put French seams in it all over. The French seams were actually really easy to do. There's a lot of straight lines, with the exception around the curve around the bust. And I think I skipped out on that and just pinked him on the inside. It was a fun make. I made it right after we got home with Yuki, and so I just like watched her like a hawk, and I did have to do things a little bit over again because I kind of goofed on them. I didn't have matching buttons, and I needed 14 buttons because I shortened this because I'm much shorter than this. So I ended up using 14 buttons, and I didn't have 14 matching buttons. I don't know what I have in my button jar, but I have quite the button collection. I just made do, but here's a look at it. I only have photos of it. It's currently in the wash. I just wore it the other day. Okay, and next up, I wanted to make a like 1960s style dress, and I used the pattern, McCall's pattern 8103, copyright 1996, and I used this dress and these sleeves, and then I added my own collar to it. I'm looking for a date on this. Oh, okay. So this is a Simplicity pattern for collars from 2012, Simplicity pattern 1727, and I used this pattern up here, this collar. So it's kind of like a Wednesday Addams collar, and basically that's what the dress looks like. I used a vintage bed sheet. Initially I was just going to use it as a muslin, but I ended up liking it, so I'm gonna wear it as is. This one, this pattern, the McCall's 8103. Oh, I think the person who had this before me had it cut for just a size up. That's what it looks like here. So just a small adjustment here. Sometimes you get that with patterns when they've already been cut. You just have to make note. I'm actually really appreciative when they're already cut because that paper is terrible to cut. A lot of times when somebody does cut it, they do the right thing and just leave the whole pattern intact, and rather than cutting down to their size. So you can reuse it, like, you know, I can make this for a friend that is just a little bit bigger than me, or a friend that's just a little bit smaller than me. So anyway, this pattern was super easy. I did add pockets because I need the pockets, and I went ahead and did snack pockets. And the reason was because the trim on the flat sheet that I used had like a little bit of lace detail, and it was darling, so I left it on. So let's look at it now. Okay, and the last pattern that I used ended up being my favorite one, and I actually made 2 dresses and a blouse from this. This is McCall's Make It Tonight, Wear It Tomorrow 70-28 size medium from 1980. Makes sense. I feel like I remember my mom having something like this. So it's a really simple popover dress. It has a elastic neckline, elastic cuffs, or tie cuffs. I feel like that was an option too. An elastic waist. And the only alteration that I did on the dress part was on this one I added snack pockets, only because I had extra of the design of this bed sheet and I just wanted to show it off a little bit. On the other one, I added side seam pockets because you have to have pockets. And the blouse that I made, I basically just took the top part of the dress, extended the sleeves, and I added kind of like a balloon sleeve to it. That one's a little special because that's where my mental state is rather than in the summer heat. This one I didn't have to do any alterations to because it was exactly my size. Super easy. I highly recommend adding this to your collection if you don't already have something like this. A lot of the reproduction companies sell a lot of blouses and dresses like this because it's such a classic style, and you could edit it to add sleeves or have a more of a deeper neckline. There's all kinds of things you could do to this one. This is a great basic pattern to have in your stash for sure. So let me show you what I made. So that's all that I have completed right now. I do have something else in production at the moment. It is a little scary because it is a 1940s pattern. I want to say it's actually 1940. Those patterns are crazy if you've never used one before. There's no markings. There's just some little holes to let you know what piece it is, and you know, you're on your own. I'm very excited about it, and I will most definitely share in a future video what it is. I hope you got some good information about the patterns that I've been using, and hopefully you'll check some out, or you know, get brave and try to make one for yourself from your own pattern stash. I have quite a pattern stash. I don't want to really talk about that though. I love getting the messages from friends, just letting me know how inspired they are by my sewing projects, and kind of lights a fire under your own bums to get sewing too. And like I said, go to the thrift store or a tag sale, or check out your local buy nothing groups. People are giving away sheets all the time, and it's a great thing to practice on so you don't feel like you're, you know, investing a lot into trying something out. And the fabric is not too bad. Some of them are quite bad. Like if you remember my Mario skirt, it was not good. I don't know, it definitely felt like it was made from plastic bottles. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get sewing and let me know what you're working on. So see you next week. Bye. I attempted to curl the hair, but it's just not happening in this heat. I just wanted to add in that this collar is a little lopsided. I didn't want it to be detachable, so I sewed it in. And it was a little leaning one way after the fact, but you know, not everything I make is perfect. Have you met my kids?